Right, let's get into this. David, what do you think Derby will need to finish in the playoffs, and do you think it's possible that could happen? Yes, it is possible that Derby could finish in the playoffs. They had an excellent end to the season and a real good bounce under John Eustace after a bit of an iffy start. Eustace, I think, is very good. Derby at Championship level have generally, before the collapse under Mel Morris, been a challenger, haven't they? More towards the top of the league. And obviously we know what happened, and the double points deduction and relegation down to League One, and the club changing ownership. And they're just kind of resetting back to their level, which was, frankly, playoffs. I saw Derby in the playoffs against Fulham. I think it was just the once they got in since I've been doing this. They were in there against Hull not too long before that as well. We're talking like 15, 16 and then 17, 18. Potentially, I think I've got the right seasons there. In terms of what they need, I think they've got the manager. They've got the infrastructure and the size and the stadium and the support and all of that kind of stuff. There's things that will happen outside of Derby County that they need as well, i.e. you need help from the middle order. And I remember talking to Callum Fowler a couple of weeks ago in terms of League One, where he's pretty expert on that. We spoke about Leyton Orient, and Leyton Orient got in the playoffs last year. They were brilliant, but it kind of needed Bolton and Peterborough and Barnsley and Huddersfield to all kind of cock it up a little bit and leave the door open. I suppose, to give a good Championship example, we had a Luton versus Coventry playoff final a couple of years ago when Norwich and Watford were year one parachute teams languishing down in the middle of the table. So Derby would need help from the likes of, looking at my iPad right here, Coventry, Middlesbrough, Leicester, depending on points deductions, Norwich, Sheffield United, Southampton, Ipswich, maybe like the likes of Watford, West Brom, Wrexham, etc. You need lots of them to not get in the playoffs. It sounds fairly straightforward, but I think if it goes with the money, then Derby won't get in the playoffs, will they? Because you'd have the 4 parachute teams in there, and others will presumably be able to do more PSR-wise. And then it's just, I've always been a bit chippy when people talk about luck. But luck is a thing. Luck's always there, good and bad. And when I talk about luck, I almost believe in the kind of cycle of you do good work and then you get some good luck. And because you've done good work, you take advantage of the good luck, which means you do more good work, which means you get more good luck. And I remember getting really irate with someone calling Ipswich lucky when they got promoted. And probably if they'd worded it better, I would have, not flown off the handle quite so much. But this idea that the only reason they've been promoted was because of luck. But if you actually say that in a more nuanced, less jealous way, it's often a case of, can you get your lucky breaks, i.e. injuries, refereeing decision, order of fixture list, good start, individual things in matches going your way, and then can you start to ride it out and get on a wave of momentum? And for the likes of Derby to be in the playoffs, you kind of need those things to line up, don't you? But as I say, good start, get in and around it early in the season, get some good feeling. That stadium will fill up, won't it? And as I always say in the Championship, there's been no mid-table the last couple of seasons, has there? We've had high tides at the bottom and the top 4 sucking points out and taking them all off everybody. So, absolutely no reason whatsoever why Derby County couldn't do it with a fair wind and a little bit of help from elsewhere around the league, just opening up that door to let them in. Owen Woolno, 7654. Could Watford be the surprise package of the Championship next season when new signings, new manager and an owner who's selling his other club to fully focus on Watford? Yeah, absolutely. It's difficult to call Watford a surprise package as such because, actually, let me just bring my favourite thing up, the history graph here on foot mob. And yeah, look, from 14-15, second championship, Premier League, Premier League, Premier League, Premier League, Premier League relegated. Second championship, Premier League, 11th, 15th, 14th. And obviously the parachute payments, they've been a season without them. But generally, it's only been the last 2 seasons. Well, you could say the last 3 seasons, they've either been getting promoted from the Championship or in the Premier League for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons in a row. So I suppose it's only a surprise on the basis that they've kind of hit the buffers over the last 3 seasons, haven't they, Watford? But what I always say about Watford ever since we've covered them in the Championship, and you kind of look into their squad and you're like, oh my God, where did they get him? Spain, Peru, Uruguay, Bosnia, Antarctica, players from everywhere. And they do go on and do well. And I've mentioned, everyone says, oh, look, Brighton have done it again with João Pedro. It's like, well, no, Watford did it with João Pedro and then sold him on to Brighton, and Ismail Assar as well. And the lad Estupinian, where has he gone? It's like Bayern Munich or something like that, hasn't he? So, yeah, there's absolutely no reason Watford can't be... what word did he use? The surprise package. Well, look, you're probably right, Owen, that if people aren't expecting them to be challenging, and I don't think they'll be in many people's top 6s, will there, given the stagnation over the last 3 years, then, yeah, it would be a surprise, and, yeah, they absolutely can do it.